Technologies that the students already love. They already love to use these. They already know how to use this. You don't have to teach them. You don't have to pre-teach how to use it. You can just start right in with our students. Also, it's visual and interactive. So time and time again we see research that says if an activity or if language learning is both visual and interactive, the information will be retained longer and more efficiently, and just countless research that shows us this. And when we're taking photos and taking our own photos, we are interacting with not only the subject, but with how we relate to the subject through language. Even our quiet students can participate. So it kind of stimulates them, it helps get them out because they can do the activity. Even if they don't fully understand your instructions in English, they see what the other students are doing and they can partake. And they can get a little bit of confidence through sharing. And perfect nowadays, it's widely available. And we don't have to have expensive equipment in our classrooms, which is super great. Okay? All right, so this is me in Shastya.
Really?
Does anyone know where Shastya is? Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Happier times in Shastya. And this is with a group of high school students. And I did a scavenger hunt with them on photography. So what we did first of all is I gave them a short presentation on how to take better photos with their little cameras, how to make their photos better. Okay? So I had a whole presentation. I taught them things like the rule of thirds. Does anyone know what the rule of thirds is? Has anyone heard of this?
Yeah.
For the photo?
For the photo.
The third part should be person, yeah?
Huh?
The third part should be person.
Well, close. Good guess. The rule of thirds means that when you look through your camera, or like this, and you picture your photo, you should imagine that it is in 3 parts here and 3 parts here. Okay? Now, the rule of thirds in photography says when you take a photo, your photo is more interesting if your subject is here, or here, or here, or here.
Not in the center.
Not in the center, right? However, there are some beautiful photographs where the subject's right in the center, right? But the photographer knows this rule. When you know this rule, then you can break it. Okay? If you don't know the rule and all your pictures are in the center, of course it's not as good. So this was a rule of thirds. I taught them how they can get close and fill the frame, fill the whole frame with their subject. Okay, we talked about mergers. Does anyone know what a merger is? It's like
connecting something. Yeah?
kind of, it's like if I take a picture of her in the park, but I didn't see that she has a tree growing out of her head, right? Or something like this, or a fence post going into the head, right? We see these pictures all the time. So we talked about, I would tell them the concept, and then in the classroom they would practice. There's me with my big camera, and they're trying it out. So I would tell them a concept, and then they would practice. And then when I would tell them again, and then they would practice. And this is all levels within this group, very low and fairly competent with English. So we went over this, we had the whole session, and then I gave them a scavenger hunt like this. Okay, so number 1, take a picture of something blue using the rule of thirds. Okay, take a picture of something yellow. Take a picture of something using fill the frame. Okay, take an interesting photo of a building from up high or down low. Okay, use leading lines. These are leading lines. See how the line leads to the subject? Leads the eyes there. Okay, so they learned all this first, and then I gave them, and then they went off into their neighborhood and had a lot of fun. So they're using English to follow directions, even though you would think, oh, it's kind of complicated, it's photography rules, but these students could all do it. They worked together in pairs, and then they uploaded their photos to our Facebook group. We had a Facebook group, and it was just kind of fun, interesting activity. The point of this activity is not that they become beautiful, wonderful photographers, but that they learned to use the language to follow directions and to communicate, and it was a really good activity. Now, if you don't know a lot of rules about photography, it's okay. You can still do a scavenger hunt. Oh, oops, I did it in Japan too. I'll show you my Japanese students. High school students, same thing.
Wow.
There they are doing all kinds of things because they all have cameras. Yeah, so she's, you know, they're doing all kinds of angles, and they also had to, so they're English language learners as well, and they loved it. Okay. So here's some ideas for your scavenger hunt. I did this one, but you could do vocabulary. Take a picture of, lower level, a house, a car, a bus. For higher levels, we can do a different activity, which I'm going to talk about later. Adjectives and descriptions. Take a picture of something big, small, short, fat, thin, sweet, salty. Sights around the school or the neighborhood. You know, find the post office. Take a picture. Find babushka sweeping. Take a picture if you ask her, right? Okay. Home and family, a week in the life of. So there's lots of ideas you can make your own scavenger hunt. Has anyone done a photo scavenger hunt before? The students just love it. Huh?
It was summer camp.
Summer camp. It's like a summer camp activity, but you can do it for a homework assignment. And they have fun. They can go off in their groups. You don't need to use any class time really to do it. Something that they can do. Okay? Another activity I like to do with photography is storytelling. Tell a story. So these students from Luhansk and Shastia, they came together, and their assignment was to tell a story about life as an EFL learner in Ukraine. Okay, so some of them took pictures on the train to summer camp. Some of them took pictures at the school cafeteria because they have English classes right before lunch. Took pictures of the friends that they met through English, through access programs. Some of them took pictures of their English textbook. Some of them took pictures of their English teachers, right? So just what does an English language learner's life look like in Ukraine? And I wanted them to think, if you were telling a story in a storybook and there's no words, how would it look in your pictures? Okay? And then, of course, what we did is in the class we would share our stories. You don't even need a computer, they can share it on their phones or on their little cameras. Okay? So you don't need technology for this, but then they have to talk about the story. You can work on storytelling first, after that, transitions, and then I do this, and every day I do this. And it works on different storytelling techniques.